do is, to begin with, go to your ASA, check the licensing by giving show version. You should have that multi-context license there. It is must to do multi-context. Okay, so when you take a security plus license, you anyway get a two context. Okay, I'll show you. So it won't be exactly 2. The 2 count here is for user defined context. System will also create some context. We'll discuss as and when we process. Okay, but this count, what you see here, 2, is for the context what user can create. So user defined context is you can define 2 contexts. Okay, now next thing is checking your mode. By default the firewall comes and it works in by default your firewall is always, when it gets shipped to you, it's always in single and routed mode. It's in single and okay. Next, what we need to do is we need to convert it into multiple mode. Okay, be careful. Mode multiple. When you do this, it's going to change your configuration.
And vice versa also possible, right? Multiple to single also. You can
erase all the configurations and you have to start.
Save it. Yeah. So save your configuration, then do this command.
Save
okay.
Backup, right?
Yeah. So it will be saved on your in the flash. So any point you want to change back from multiple mode to a single mode. Okay. So that will be stored in your flash, the configuration. In our case, there wasn't anything. Okay. So let it come up. Okay. Meanwhile, yeah. Okay, so basically what you're going to do is this is what you are going to do in the system context. So you'll give some name. Okay, probably you'll set some password. Okay, this I'll tell you later on why do we need this MAC address auto. So let's put an exclamation here, comment it. Okay, and then what you need to do is all your interfaces, what you got to do is you need to no shut all your interfaces. Physical interfaces. So we have G00 and we have G01, 2. Let's see, G00, 1, 2, 3, and 4. Yeah, that's what we are using, right? That's it. Management we are not using, let it be shut down. Again, we'll come back and see why was the use of these commands. Okay. Okay. Wherever you are going to do all this, or wherever you will be working. Okay, this portion will be called system context. Okay, so basically if this is your firewall, wherever you are going to work or whatever you're going to configure on your firewall, yeah, this space here, okay, this will be your system context. Okay, when you configure or convert it into multiple mode, then one context what you get is system context. System creates this. Another context what you get is your, what is it, is your admin context. Okay, now it depends on you. You can create two more context. So possibly you create two more context. One you create here, another one do you get this? The count what you see in the license is for these contexts, which allows you to create 1, 2. Actually, how many contexts do you have? 4, 3. Whatever system related stuff you are doing, you're going to do it under so it's like buy 2 get 2 free. Okay, yeah, this context is again as good as, but only thing is these two are what? User defined. These two are your system defined. Okay, next thing is about the interfaces, the physical interfaces. Your physical interfaces now can be shared. Possibly you can give one interface here, one here. Maybe you can give the 0-1 interface here, or maybe let's say 0-0 interface here. You can give 0-1 interface here. You can give 0-2 here. You can give 0-3 here. You can also give 0-0 to A, plus you can also give 0-0 to admin context also.
What do you mean by admin context and user context?
Admin context is system defined.
System defined, okay. What are the
These
things,
are user defined.
what are the things we can able to change in user defined? Can't change in admin.
I said these contexts are same as.
Okay, but actual difference I can't able to understand.
Actual difference is this is system created.
Okay.
But
These two are user created.
But
Okay,
we
so
can't-
whenever you will boot, it will always be this context what will load first, then these contexts will load. So it's possible that you will have your admin context configuration on your firewall itself, but for these two contexts, okay, the configurations are maybe put somewhere on FTP server or TFTP server somewhere.
So every time it puts it.
Okay, yeah. So if admin context is up, admin context can connect to FTP and get configuration for. Okay, if your question is, are we bound to use admin context and we are not able to, we can't delete it? No, it's not so. You can delete admin context. You want, you can delete admin context and you can create any other context as admin context. I create another one. This is my new admin context.
But this is user based, right? If you're creating it, it's user based.
It's user based, but important point what you need to know is there should be one admin context. That's important. That's something what system already does it for you. That's why you already have admin context. Because until you don't have admin context, you cannot create user defined context. Do you get this? Okay. Yeah, questions.
This one, the context A and C, we just put the configuration from the FTP, that's all, right?
No.
That one is okay.
Did I say? That's what I said. I said admin context is always what boots first.
But you said that you can customize it.
So this context you can remove and create any other context that will serve as your admin context. Again, no matter what you do, this context will boot first. Okay, each of your contexts is going to maintain a separate configuration file, and the file can be locally, which means in the ASA flash, or the configuration file can be anywhere outside. So you can go and get file through FTP, TFTP and so on. Okay, so admin context, why it's required is, one reason is the system doesn't let you create user defined context until and unless you have admin context. One thing. Okay, another thing, why is it so? Because admin context is always going to load first. So admin context when loads first, it can actually get a network connectivity. In that case, when you load any of these user defined context, and if your configuration are hosted somewhere else, admin context can help you get configurations for your user defined context. If that doesn't happen, these contexts will not be able to come up. Why? No connectivity. For those contexts to boot, they should have some base configuration, right? Which is missing. Okay. Again, another reason is admin context is the context what allows you to remotely manage this firewall. Admin context is the context which allows you to remotely manage this firewall. So if you want to telnet or SSH and modify this section here, you cannot directly telnet or SSH here. Not possible. What you need to do is you need to connect here, and from here you may, depend on the permission, you may jump to and then make the changes. You can never connect directly to your user defined context from remote locations. You have to always connect to your system context or admin context, and from there you need to jump between the context and make amendments. Okay, so as the system is already up, we should be able to do this. So let's keep it default to admin context. So coming back to the firewall console, enable config to. Now wherever I am, this is what? System context. Show okay. That should have been there. Okay, used to be there, they have removed it. So what you need to do now is first
Here
create
it is.
admin context.
Here it is admin context.
You have?
Yeah.
That's what it should be there.
Show context.
No worries, I'll create one. Okay, so you got to have each context. So I'll create one admin context and name it as admin CTX. Okay, in your case it will be different.
This admin.
It's what? Capital A, right?
No, it's a small.
Just small, right? Okay, admin. This is required. Okay, then what you need to do is you need to go to this context, which is admin context. Okay, one of the real important thing is this context, which is admin context, which is now a separate firewall. Okay, so physically it's one, but logically it's a separate firewall here. Okay, and for this firewall there will be a separate configuration file maintained, and that file will be, let's say, admin. Okay, admin configuration file, and the extension is .cfg. Similarly we'll create for these two. For CTX A we'll create, and the file will be where the config will be with CTX A.cfg, and for CTX context C it will be CTX -c.cfg. .cfg is the extension. Okay, so one of the requirement is you must have admin context. We already have it. Okay, and its file will be stored in admin-cfg. So that's what I do here. Config URL, store it in flash with the name as admin.cfg. Okay, are we good? Show okay, next, so wherever you find this star, it means that's admin context. So it's not the name. I could have given some other name here. Okay, how do you identify that the context is the admin context? You use this command, admin context. Whatever name you give here, that defines that it's the admin context. Okay, at some later point I'll show you. Okay, so let's create another context. So normal contexts are created this way, context and then just give a name. So for us it is CTX-A, case sensitive. Okay, give where the file will be stored using this command, this keyword. It will be stored in flash with the name as CTX-A.cfg. Done. Done. Exit out. Show. Do you see? Create the last one. Context ctx-c. Okay, and give the URL config dash flash colon slash ctx dash c dot cfg. Exit and check the context. Show context. Okay, you can configure, as I mentioned, you can make any other context, like your user defined context can be admin context also. All you have to do is this.
Dedicated context is only one admin context.
The star goes to. Do you get this? But there should be one. You get this? Clear up till this point. Okay. Let me just give a name to the firewall. Okay. Let's set a password also. Enable password. The interfaces related things, the global settings, you do it here. Okay, like you do it here.
So we are working on the admin context, right?
System context. You are still in system context.
You're not in the admin.
No. So all these things you will do it in system context. Yeah. These things we do here. If you want to configure this, like here in this case, if you configure here 0, 0 and 0, 1, right? This is a global thing, so you do it here. Redundant one, description, port channel. Okay, sub interface, do it here, like in this case 2, do it here. Two dot 2.150 and 2.24. 2.150 and 2.24, right? Do it here. So interface 2.150 . and these sort of things you do it here. System. As I told you, admin context is like your any other context. You will be doing all those things there. So whatever you will do in context A, context C, same things you can do in context A as admin context also. So system context is simple. The global settings you do it from, or system related settings you do it from here. Who can telnet, who can SSH, and all those things. The individual context related settings you go by doing in individual context. Okay. So point is, how do I go to individual context? Okay. This is how you go to, or this is how you jump between the contexts. You have to say, use this change to context and give the context name. If you make mistake, it doesn't work. Told you it's case sensitive. The name should be exact. The moment you do this, do you see a prompt changed? Whatever you do here, it belongs to, or it happens only for CTXA. Doesn't affect anything else. Which means whatever you do here is which means whatever you are going to do here is going to get saved to, it's going to limit, it will be limited only to, it's one box, but actually now you have 1, 2, and the box related stuff you are going to do it in setting host name, passwords, telnet, SSH, HTTP permissions, all those things. Okay, NTP, time, clock. Okay, accessing files, taking backup, all those. Okay. Yeah. Otherwise, individual configuration will go to individual context. Good. Okay. So we check that in this context, I see there is no interface, and actually there is no interface. We did not assign, right? Doesn't? So if you, how do you go back to system context? Again, change to what? System. Okay, you are back. Show interface IP, show running. You need to understand, we did not assign any interfaces to these contexts. That's why if you go to any of these contexts, look at the prompt. Look at the prompt. There's nothing. Because we did not configure anything there. Okay. So what we do is, I go back to system context and we put required interfaces in the context. Okay. So context C. Shucks. So for context C here, the interfaces should be what? Context C, the interfaces G03 and what? Redundant 1. Okay, so let's put that, these two interfaces. So you go back. So where do you add? You add it here. Go to context C, and here there is a command, there is a keyword called allocate interface to this context. So use that. Allocate interface, and here you give the name. Interface is what? One is G03. Okay, this should be, probably you take it from here. It doesn't take shortcuts. You need to get the full name. One is this, another one is what? Another one is this.
So in cloud, when you say that there will be a shared firewall or virtual firewall, is that the one that actually have given?
In the cloud, sorry, come again.
In the cloud, when people say that you will be given a shared firewall,
No, this is
or a
typically,
virtual firewall,
no, this is actually,
where does that happen?
So,
Good, Abdul, this
shortcuts, right?
Huh?
You have to.
yeah, you will probably do a show interface IP brief
So
and
it's
get the
same
name from here.
Case sensitive.
Yeah, show running context. If you see, we have made some amendments in context C, right? Now show, you do this show interface IP brief just to avoid mistakes, and now go to context A, use allocate interface command and give the right interface which should belong to what? Context A. So if you check context A, how many interfaces should belong?
Digital context.
Let me write down here first. There are two sub interfaces. There is one G0/2.150 and there is another one which is G0/2.24. Both of them belong, right? So 2 plus 1 interface you have got here as well. You've got one interface here as well. Okay, so let's put this. So go back to the console here. Allocate interface, which is 24.150 and redundant 1, and it's I guess 0 and 04 here and 04. So let's add this one as well. Oh no. I preferably file this. Okay, save this, get the mark. Okay, so finally it is one more interface which is 04, right? We are good.
04 also.
Yeah. Okay, show running. Now if you go to the context, change to context, maybe CTXA, and if you do, you see? You can see 4 interfaces here, context A. Okay, your context C, two interfaces, 03 inside, redundant 1 outside. Now what you have learned for a single mode routed firewall, you do it here. Like what? Like if you see the topology here, here this interface here, which is redundant 1 in context C, is what actually outside. G03 in context C is what? Inside.
But I'm seeing all the interfaces in the context.
Sorry, come again.
I'm seeing all the interfaces in the context A or context C.
All the interfaces.
Yeah.
Just wait a minute. So in this case, though we have already assigned redundant 1 and G03 interface to context C, you can check by jumping to context C, show interface IP brief. I will not configure anything here. My context, which is admin context, is there are no interfaces here in admin context. There are no interface in admin context. Let me put the interfaces which were actually in okay. So we go to context and I put, so if you go back to your context admin, now there are two interfaces. Sorry, change to now there are two contexts, so I'll use this. So a small amendment again, but you got the idea, right? Admin context can be used like any other user context. Okay, so amendment is, now this is not admin context anymore, this context here anymore, this is now admin context. Good. Okay, now let's go and set up whatever you were doing in the single context mode. Assume that and do it. Okay, it's going to be same configuration.
So when we
Yeah, so I'll start configuration from admin context at this point. So I'm already in admin context. What I do is I go to interface G03, I assign a name if here, name if inside, security level goes to 100. I assign IP address here, so the IP address should be 10.1.72.254 admin context G03 interface.
I thought we are making C as admin.
Okay, so that's what I do here, 10.1.72.254, and the subnet mask is done. Exit, show interface IP brief. Do you see? Okay, next, the interface redundant 1 IP address 192.1.125. This is let me give IP as 51. I'm configuring, so okay, I'm supposed to give the name as well. Wait, I'm configuring this segment here, redundant 1, which belongs to admin context. Okay, this will be outside, name as outside, and the IP address will be on this subnet .50. Good. Okay, so I'm going to configure this as .50, and this I'm going to configure at later point as .51. So I just put it here. Okay, so coming back to the console, this is one, and I'll give a name if as, you can give, let's give untrust. Okay, show running interface redundant 1, show running interface G03. Okay, show
So,
it's okay up till this point. Yep, question. Okay, so how you configure the route, how you configure a default route, it's same. So what you're going to do is you're going to add this section here. So you're going to point a default route towards .1, which is same how you add, and then what you're going to do is you're going to do a natting for this subnet here, going to outside using your outside interface IP, which is .50 dynamic patting.
you're doing changes on context 8 or
No, I'm doing in context admin, not context C, just to show that how admin context will be used.
Okay.
Done?
So I think you're given IP or redundant as 51.
Where? .51. Let me. Yeah, sorry, it's .51 and. Okay, let me just change as per the diagram. So interface redundant 1, go back, IP address 192.125.50. Should be 50, right, as per diagram? Yeah, .50, fine. Slight change. Good. Done? Okay, and similarly what you can do is you can go and change it for diagram. Okay, I'll give you it. So I'm configuring context A now. I'm in context A here. Okay, I'm going to start configuration from G04, and G04 as per the topology is inside or trusted. Okay, 172.16.192 subnet. So let me set up that first. Name trust. Okay, so definitely you need to increase the security level. Anything apart from inside goes to 0.
Okay, you can keep the name if trust here and same name between.
Yeah, both are separate
not-
firewall. Now they are in same box, but they are separate. Okay, trust security level IP address is 172.16.192.254. Okay, show running interface G04. This is the interface G04. Okay, I configure interface redundant 1 with that is outside. So configure that interface redundant 1, name if untrust, and IP address is 192.125.51. I have DMZ interfaces, so I'll pick up this one first, 2.24. So I go to interface 2.24. I don't think so you need to give VLAN here. Yeah, because we have already given that, and all you need to do is the normal configuration, which is name if. Okay, so your name if will be the interface name. Let's look here, 24 int DMZ int dash DMZ Security level I'll set it to 50, and IP address I'll set it to 172.16.24.254. This portion here. Okay, now let's do it for .150. It's public DMZ. So another interface is here is this one, 2.150. so you go to interface 2.150, name if is Dmz, security level is 50, IP address is 10.150.1.254, and there you go. Show interface IP brief, name if, right? Finally you add a default route saying route untrust 00.192.1.125.1. Done. Okay, remaining portion is about NATing. Okay, so before we go to those areas, what we need to do is we need to get back to the switch, which is right here, switch 1. And we need to configure these interfaces. Okay, the interface right from 8 till 12. Okay, so I'll say interface range G1/0/8 till 12, description as they are connected to ASA in the order. Okay, fine. Okay, let me just put the description here. G0, it's G1, right? Okay, G108, it's connected to, let's put it properly, it's connected to ASA G00. Port number 9 is connected to G01. 10 is connected to 02. 11 is connected to G0. 8, 9, 10. 8, 0, 1, 2. Okay, finally 12, which is goes to G04. So we got to set up all these interfaces here, these as per the topology, right? So as per the topology, let's begin with this one here. So this belongs to G03, belongs to VLAN. Let's go and do this quickly. G03, which means interface 11. So interface G10/11, switch port mode access, switch port access VLAN 72, spanning tree done. Next, G04. G04 belongs to VLAN 192. So I do it on G04 is on interface 12. G01, G1012. Switch port mode access, switch port access VLAN what is it?
192.
192 spanning tree. Done. Next is redundant interface, which is G00 and G01.
Interface port channel.
25 redundant, no, not port channel. 25. Okay, so interface range G10/8 and 9. Switch port mode access, switch port access VLAN 25, spanning tree. Okay, and last, only one interface is remaining, which is G02, which is G02, and it's connected on port number 10 of the switch. Okay, but this interface is actually sub interface, so we trunk it. Okay, so G02, which is on port number 10, this gets trunked. Switch port trunk, sorry, and here say switch port trunk allowed VLANs are VLAN 150 and 20, and you can also do this spanning tree. Show running interface G10/10. I am doing a port fast here for a reason, though it's a trunk port, but this is not connected to a switch, it's connected to a firewall, a router or a layer 3 device. Okay, so it cannot form a loop.
Only layer 2.
Yeah, you would not do it here. You'll not do it on these interfaces. Because they are connected to another switch, can form a loop. Okay, so don't turn on port fast on trunk ports.
Only one thing I missed
Hmm.
in ASA.
ASA,
For the route,
which one? Which context here?
for admin context.
Admin context.
What's the route?
Outside. Outside. For admin context, the route should be this. For admin context, your route should be here.
From the firewall.
Outside. Outside too.
I don't know what name you have given.
Oh, that's on the edge.
What name you have given here?
The inside interest.
So
Is the interest.
so it's route untrust 00 next hop.
Next one is the
192.125.1. Okay.
Do you need any route for CDXA context?
For yeah, same thing. Dude, this is a separate firewall. This is a separate firewall. Whatever you do here doesn't bother, and whatever you do here doesn't matter too. They have separate configurations. Done? Good up till this point. We go and we verify. How do we verify? From here, ping your gateway. Okay. From firewall, ping your gateway. Another easy way of doing is go to context admin, ping outside network, and ping right. Similarly, go to context A, do the same thing, ping DMZ networks, ping inside, and finally ping if not working because they are directly connected, fix it. Okay, there's no point you trying to ping here. If you can't ping the network, same network, there's no point going outside your subnet. Okay, so just go and try this out, should be working. So I'm in context A, I ping. Okay, before you do this, change to system context. Okay, and you remember this command I told you in the beginning, that we'll discuss this command later on, MAC address auto. Okay, because your interfaces are shared, they are supposed to have different MAC addresses. Okay, so use this command in the system context mode. Okay, give this command and then change to context admin, CTXA, show interface IP brief, show route, I do have route, and now ping public DMZ ping, okay, which is 10.150.1.1. it works. Next, ping your internal DMZ, which is 172.16.24.1. it works. Ping your inside, which is trusted, ping trust, ping through the trusted interface inside, which is 172.16.192.3 if I'm not wrong. Yeah, router 3. Finally, pinging outside, which is router 1, ping through untrust 192.1.125.1. it works. Do the same thing. I'm not going to do it for another context, the admin context. I leave it to you. Just go verify. If your directly connected networks are not pingable, fix it. Go from layer 2, then see layer 3. Okay. So I pause it here, finish it, then we'll look at the NATing portion. So let's do the NATing here in this case, and NATing begins with dynamic patting, dynamic pat for anyone going to internet. Next, static NATing when you're going to internal DMZ server. Okay, and static NATing for static patting, not NATing, let's do static patting for whenever anyone from internet is accessing your servers, which are 1 and 2. Okay, so let's do this. Show interface IP brief, so you know about the subnets. Okay, so create the objects, object network. I create this one for public DMZ server, which belongs to 150 subnet, which belongs to this subnet. Okay, so the host IP, the server IP is 10.150.1.1. I have another server which is in, okay, let me create another object here, object network, and this one is for okay, and this server is .1. I have a subnet on inside, which is G04, which is this subnet. Okay, Done. Okay, now first let's do it for in to out. Anyone from inside going outside. Okay, so you write down NAT from, what are the interface? Trust going to, from trust going to untrust. Source, it's a dynamic translation. Okay, your real object is inside subnet, and the translation should happen using interface. Show NAT. The rule goes to section 1. Typically I would prefer to put this in section 3.
One second. Scroll.
Show inside to anywhere. Okay, this is for dynamic patting. You going from inside to anywhere on inside on internet. Good for all of you. Next one. Next one is for your Dmz servers. Next one is for Dmz servers. Show running. Let's do it for this server first. Okay, so what you're going to do is get back to the object, same object, and here write down NAT. Okay, this is in public DMZ zone, and this is for untrust. It's a static translation wherein your IP mapped IP is outside interface IP or untrust interface IP, and it's going to be a patting. So service TCP, service TCP. Then if you do a question mark, it says real port number. Okay, so a real port number is 80 and mapped port number is what? 8000.
Is 8000 a random number?
Yeah, you can give any other port also. Done. Let's do it for the second object, the second server. Go back. Okay, say NAT from, this is in to another zone. Okay, it's a static translation. Interface service is TCP, real port is 80, but the mapped port is 8080. Show section 2. Do you get this? Okay, and let's say whenever, just for section 1, okay, doesn't make sense, but just to show section 1, whenever you are going, yeah, so from inside, whenever you are going to DMZ internal server, you again get translated against the DMZ internal interface IP, which is, so whenever you're going to internal DMZ, you should get translated on to this IP address. Okay, so that will be NAT when you're going from trust to internal DMZ. Okay, and it's That's one object, and it should get translated to interface. Okay, when your destination will remain as it is, and your destination is going to be this object. Internal subnet. I think we have made a mistake. It's capital S. Inside subnet, it's capital S. There's a mistake in the object name. So let me just fix it. It's a capital S. Inside subnet, and we are good to go. Show. Okay. This traffic is going to come from out to in, right? So for this you need an ACL. Access list inbound ACL1. Okay. Permit TCP traffic coming from outside, from any host to one of my server. Okay. And here you can actually use name. Just give me a minute. Okay, you have to use here. You can do it this way. Object.
So the complete subnet.
No.
I mean both the
What is there in pub? Show running object network. What is there in pub? IP, right? Instead of IP you can eventually use object. Okay, and same way you have to add one more entry, and this will be for your another server, so you can do it this way. Host 172.16.24.1. okay, show running access list. Good. Finally you have to apply access dash group. Okay, then you need to give the name of ACL, which is this, in interface. Which one? Okay, and finally your part, which is testing. So router 3, is it? I'm just wondering, I need the consoles. Don't need this. I'll have to reopen these. Testing it from router 3. Oh, we did not configure it for ours. Okay, that's already done. Let's router 3, and let's take a console of router 3 here. We just need router 3 and that PC, which is already there, so nothing to worry. Okay, so this is router 3 console, and screwed here. Okay, we'll have to wait. Meanwhile, let's test it from outside, the translation for outside, and which you can test it from this PC. Okay, so what you do is, this is your admin or outside PC. Here we go to the browser, and all you got to do is HTTP outside interface IP 192.1.125.51. So you got to access this IP here on port number 8000, right? So that's what you do on port number 8000, and next connection, what is this, should be to we are doing it from this system, right? Okay, it did not work. Oh shit, my mistake, sorry. We are supposed to do it from the test PC and we are doing, I did it from a wrong system, sorry, my mistake. HTTP you need to do to 192.125.51, port number of 8000, you get it. And next server is in the internal, which is 192.125.51, but the port number is 8080. That's second. Okay, and last but not the least, from your router 3. So far this verification here, let me bring it here. Okay, so far this verification, this thing what we have done is can be verified by having by having hit count here for these entries. Okay, and another thing, by having hit count on show NAT. We had seen it, right? Having hit count here. Okay, so let's verify. So all you have to do is show NAT. Next thing, show access list. Okay, now let's verify this portion here by going to router 3 here, and then going to and then jumping back to ASA console and being able to see hit count here. And being able to see trust to, you're going from router. Okay, okay, and probably this is one, I don't know if we would be able to test this, but surely let's give a try. Finally, telnet to one of your Dmz server, which is internal, right? 172.16.24.1 port 80. Fine, we are able to. No worries, you are able to get the page. So you can try again and you can say get mash. This is virtual, right? You can't means no successful. Actually, if you do it, you should be able to get the page. Okay, but open is good enough. You see the status as open, right? That is good enough. If I hit back, I can't verify actually, but let's not waste time. We can simply check it from here. Sorry, not this. Okay. So basically that's what you need to do. You do it for your another one. Okay. About inside zone, right? Okay, one of the thing what I want to tell you, that you people do about your inside admin context. Okay, so go to change to, and how do you save this work? If you do write memory within this context, it saves only your. If you want to save everything, then you have to probably do this. Sorry.
So write memory all will save like all the.
For all the context. Okay, this is one thing what I wanted to tell you, and another important thing is let's say you create a username admin privilege okay, then you give something.
These are all replicated to other.
Okay, then you create a key. Crypto ISA cam. What I'm doing, it should be not be IP domain definitely, and I don't think so I have to do it here. Let me just check. I don't think so it's to be done. So we're giving this command in admin context. Okay. Okay, then we say SSH is allowed. Okay, the IP address of the host who is authorized to log in. Okay, we'll be testing it from if it's just a host, use /32 followed by which interface. And then AAA authentication for SSH when you are accessing through console should be done from local database. Create a local username here, username admin, password Cisco. Okay, and then what you do is go out to your system. Wow, how come it's says you want it to fit in here, not be this big. This happens when you have windows in Windows. Keep adjusting. Okay, let me just close this. Okay. So what you need to do is at this point is test it from here.
Let's do the.
I'm in. Whoa. And now I can manage. I can manage any of the context. You are in context A. That's why it's required that you have what? Admin context. Do you get this? Okay. So I just log out and I'm good. Done? Okay. So these are at basic level what you should know.
Email to a person now.
Okay. So I close it here.
Yeah, first
Okay.
we